Hello, I'm Lloyd Wood. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to you at the 2021 STINT Space-Terrestrial Internetworking workshop. The reason why I'm talking to you? Well, my experience. A while back, we tested an internet router in low Earth orbit, and we were able to do the very first in-space tests of delay-tolerant networking, or DTN, using the DTN bundle protocol. Our work led to a router and similar tests taking place in geostationary orbit, again running over the Internet Protocol IP. And we also did some work on addressing some engineering weaknesses in the bundle protocol. That bundle protocol is still being developed in the Internet Engineering Task Force. It's a lot more complex these days, though how it might best be taken advantage of and used remains, I think, an open question. But we were able to test delay-tolerant networking in space only because IP was already there, providing a base in LEO and GEO for delay-tolerant networking to run over. And recent bundle in space tests are still running over TCP/IP as a convergence layer. So this leads me to what I think is the greatest achievement in space networking research. The biggest win has been putting the internet in space. Wherever you have living conditions for humans as bursty traffic generators, you will have the internet as well. And where a human can survive, commercial off-the-shelf networking gear can survive too. You've got oxygen, you've got food, you're going to have internet. Pushing the envelope of terrestrial hardware and software and robustness and fault tolerance is relevant and useful for any living in space effort. The distinction that we faced with the difference between commercial off-the-shelf and custom software and hardware is, I think, blurring somewhat. The same software and libraries can drive both. There is increased reuse of code, which is heavily debugged and used by a large audience of terrestrial users. Linux is already on Mars with the NASA Perseverance rover and its helicopter. TCP and UDP IP network drivers are well understood, they're debugged, and people will work with the software that they're familiar with in putting the internet into space. Now, coming to some research challenges that I think are interesting. We need more dedicated space-to-space links. Most deep space probes talk back directly to the Earth. Exceptions such as Cassini-Huygens talking to Cassini and then back to Earth, or the Mars Relay Network are leading the way, but are comparatively rare at this point. And an intersatellite link is a space-to-space link. Experience with that could help. Now, intersatellite links have been radio, or they've been using lasers, but there's also a third way. We've been looking at light-emitting diodes, or LEDs. The rate that they offer is slower than laser terminals. The distance is far less, but they are so much cheaper. LEDs are robust, they're lightweight, they're long-lived, and they're easy to put in a CubeSat, whereas a laser terminal might weigh as much as a CubeSat does. Two universities have been looking at this. In North Carolina, they've taken a system engineering view of it, while at Strathclyde in Glasgow, they've got links up and running, and they've done a demonstration across the Glasgow city centre just before COVID happened. These intersatellite links can be expected to carry internet traffic. Satellite constellations can use these links, but that's not yet a sure thing. The Iridium constellation does have radio intersatellite links, and it provides low rate data messaging and voice. Starlink and other constellations may also deploy laser intersatellite links, but that's still a work in progress. One of the things I'm aware of from some research I did a while back is that handovers pose a particular problem for these satellite constellations. You don't want to hand over to a satellite that is distant in the mesh, which can happen in a Rosette constellation such as Starlink, and you have to consider the possible delay spikes from any handover. A lot's been written about the speed of light in a vacuum being faster than the speed of light in optical fiber. Therefore, high frequency traders might want to send traffic over a satellite constellation just to get a few milliseconds trading edge, and they can fund the satellite constellation from their profits. I think that's entirely speculative and doubtful. Handovers make it a difficult problem to be solved, and the complexity of the intersatellite links works against these low delay expectations. Here's some simulations I did. So you can see delay spikes for high rate traffic occurring every time there is a handover. And this reorders the traffic as well. So whenever you have a handover, because a terminal moves from one low Earth orbiting satellite to another, you have two routing changes. And this will be experienced the most by high rate internet traffic. But the intersatellite link is a space-to-space link. It is carrying internet traffic. And that, I think, is the key message here. Internet traffic will eventually go everywhere. So in 20 years, when we talk of the interplanetary internet, we will really be talking of the internet. And perhaps delay-tolerant networking will be running there too. Thank you for your time and attention.